Justin Gaethje, man, a man who trains with Kamaru Usman very regularly, arguably one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the UFC right now, is fighting a Michael Chandler. And it's interesting, AJ, because the odds on this are minus 190 for Gaethje, plus 160 for Michael Chandler. What about Chandler's last fight against Charles Oliveira, against Do Bronx? Spoke volumes that they could say, oh, if you fight Justin Gaethje, it's probably going to be a pretty close fight. Because what's interesting is that, yeah, he had Oliveira in deep waters, right, in that first round, but he got just starched in that second, man. Technical boxing, he got it put on him, right? Gaethje's not the most technical boxer, but he's a volume guy. He'll mix it up to the head, to the calves, to the body. He'll throw reckless abandon, and I just don't know, man. I think that the odds should be a little more favored in terms of having it heavy for Justin Gaethje. Sorry about the stumbles on that one. What do you think, brother?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was the last fight of Michael Chandler's that did it, or if it's the fact that these guys both, when you look at them on paper, they're basically similar. Both wrestlers, very heavy wrestlers. I'm both pretty sure they're both not national champs, but D1. The All American wrestlers. They've been doing it a long time. Very technical, good striking, can mix it up highs and lows, whether it's leg kicks, kicks to the head. I think really the only biggest difference with them is one is a little bit more of a brawler, while the other one's a little bit more technique heavy. And one you think of as, a strict, style wrestler that's good with his hands, where the other one you think of as an absolute savage just in there brawling, and that's Justin Gaethje. But if you look at it on paper, and I think that's what the odd makers are doing here, they're saying, oh, these guys have pretty similar accolades going all the way up, not only from the regional scene and, Cage Warriors and whatnot, Bellator, but actually all the way back up to previously in college and, their collegiate acumens and whatnot. I don't know. It could be that. But if it is the last fight, it's just the fact that Chandler is able to get starched real quick in that second round, and Gaethje packs an absolute punch. So we'll see.
I mean, they both pack an absolute punch. We're talking about knockouts. 10 knockouts for Chandler in 22 wins, 19 knockouts for Gaethje in 22 wins. So a little bit of a difference there, you know what I mean? But when it comes down to it, man, Michael Chandler, what spoke volumes to me about his fight with Do Bronx is that he got dropped with a calf kick in the opening, 30 seconds of the fight. And if that is going to tell us anything, that's going to tell us that Gaethje is going to be having a field day on those calves all day long, man. So I'm just going to give a little bit of a preview to my pick, man. I think that Michael Chandler's best odds of winning this fight are in the first round. I think as the fight goes longer, it's going to go more in terms of Gaethje, because Gaethje could fight through his cardio issues, right? He gets tired. He gets tired almost every fight, but he fights through it, which is crazy. And he just has that will to win that Michael Chandler starts wilting as the later rounds go on. I think that Michael Chandler has a ridiculous amount of first-round knockouts on his resume, if I'm not mistaken. And that's always good, but starting off with a ferocious pace is only good if you can maintain that pace, or if you can get him out of there early, because last thing you want is to say, all right, I left it all out there. I zapped out all my energy. Oh my God, he's still here. You know what I mean? They're still right there in my face. They're not tired. Oh my God, what's happening here, man? So when it comes down to that technical boxing versus brawler style, though, AJ, I'm sure that you would agree there are holes in Justin Gaethje's game that Michael Chandler can exploit. And what I mean by that is, if you're not throwing technically, you're going to be open to catch a shot regardless, whether you're throwing a big wing and hook, overextending on your shot, whatever. And I will say the right cross, left hook combination of Michael Chandler is absolutely money, dude. I'm pretty sure that's what he knocked out Dan Hooker was with that left hook. And then with Charles Oliveira, I think he put him down with a right cross or left hook combo or something too, man. So he was able to drop back-to-back opponents. He's done it time and time again, man. The question that is really pertinent here, AJ, because we're talking about wrestling, I suppose. We already know what's going on with the striking. Chandler is a better wrestler than Justin Gaethje. I believe that. Do you believe that?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I think optically, yes, we've seen Chandler do it more, but we forget that Justin Gaethje is an All-American as well, and his wrestling is very stout, especially being there, having to wrestle Kamaru Usman all the time, who's an amazing wrestler in himself. I think we've just seen more of Chandler wrestling, so that's why I think he's a better wrestler. But honestly, Justin Gaethje is very well talented in that skill, and we just don't see him going to it because he likes to throw them hands.
Well, I think Justin Gaethje is more like a Chuck Liddell in the sense where Liddell was a really good wrestler who used his wrestling to keep the fight standing, right? Like that's the game plan. It's like I'm gonna be so good at wrestling, I'm not gonna let you take me down. We're gonna stay standing, pal. Like I don't give a fuck what you want, right? But for Michael Chandler, I think it's more to that traditional freestyle wrestling where I'm gonna double leg you, I'm gonna get on the top control, I'm gonna maintain that control, I'm gonna ground and pound you. Justin Gaethje, he's the performer dude, like the Chris Barnett, right? He wants to have a show, he wants to go to war. He is very kind of like spiritual in that sense, where he's like, I gotta go to that dark place, and go and do X, Y, and Z, right? But do you see or can you see Michael Chandler shooting in a double leg and just laying on top and controlling Justin Gaethje, kind of like a Habib Nurmagomedov was able to?
Yeah, I can actually, just because a lot of American style wrestlers aren't the best on their back. If they're able to get controlled and they don't have the jiu-jitsu to stand up, hit some sweeps, anything of the sort of just hitting, or even once the ground hits and they don't just pop back up, it's a lot harder for that American style wrestler to actually get it going on the ground game. So I could see that happening. Whereas the other way around, I don't see Justin Gaethje being able to hold down Michael Chandler as much. What do you think?
Yeah, it's just hard for me to see Justin Gaethje even utilizing that game plan of like I'm just gonna like lay on top of you like that. He's never done that. He just doesn't do that. That's not his style unless he's about to just ground and pound you out or something like that. I mean, he's only got one submission on his entire resume. You know what I mean? So he likes to keep the fight standing. Calf kicks, AJ. How many does it take before Michael Chandler is on Queer Street?
Ooh, I'm thinking 4, but he's probably going to get hit with like 13, 14.
So do you remember in that Habib fight, after I think it was like the post-fight conference or something, Habib even said that he was like maybe 1 or 2 away from being done with those calf kicks of Justin Gaethje, kind of arguing that Gaethje has some of the hardest calf kicks the man has ever felt. And he uses them correctly. He's not one of those, I'm going to spam you, right? Get checked a million times. Like, he's very strategic with it. I'm going to mix it up high, low, head kick, calf kick, calf kick. I'm going to beat it. Like, he says that he wants to bank in those calf kicks early so that as the fight progresses, he's already got that money in the bank, right? It's kind of like a body shot, but just to the calf. So it's interesting because in terms of numbers for Justin Gaethje, 7.46 significant strikes landed per minute at a 59% clip, damn near 60%, brother. That's crazy. 50% clip for about 5 significant strikes for Chandler. So they're both high-level strikers with a high volume, high accuracy. The biggest thing here is takedown defense. 69% for Gaethje, 71% for Chandler. Man, I just want to put that out there. I don't even want to talk about what those numbers mean. I just want to put that out there and say, do what you will with the information, folks. But at the end of the day, I find it very hard to see this fight being one of those slow snoozer fights. So let's talk about it. The outcome, AJ. 4-1 is Justin Gaethje in his last 5. 3-2 is Michael Chandler. 2 title fights in those 5 fights for Chandler. Only 1 for Gaethje. Who do you got, brother? You said you were struggling with it in the beginning, going back and forth. Now's the time. Who do you have?
Man, I've been back and forth on this decision. I think I've deleted and rewrote probably 6, 7 times already. Man, this one to me, where it comes down to is which Justin Gaethje shows up. Do we see Mr. Highlight, or do we see the guy who said he wants to be champion? Because there's 2 different styles of fighters, man. If Gaethje is just going to come out there and absolutely throw everything but the kitchen sink, well, he might get caught, or he stays the technical route, the Trevor Whitman route, and he's able to put it on Michael Chandler and just absolutely dominates him from the jump. It's going to be interesting to see, as well as Michael Chandler. This dude is crazy power, gas tank all, well, for that first round, and then he really starts to peter out. Yeah. But it's a crazy pressure right off the jump, and yeah, man, this makes me nervous because Uncle Chael went Chandler, and it's always a curse, and I'm going Chandler as well. I'm sticking with what I have written down at the moment. I'm going Chandler, and I'm actually going Chandler by decision. I think both these guys are going to get wilted out and kind of drag each other into that deep water. I just don't see Michael Chandler knocking Justin Gaethje out, nor do I see a submission coming, so I went with decision on this one. We'll see if it bites me in the ass, but I think it's going to be a good fight either way. What about you, Derek?
It's going to be a great fight, man. But I'm going to have to go to Gaethje on this one, man. I think that if you take away that Habib fight, if you look at what he's done in his last 5, the man has been damn near unstoppable, right? Knocks out James Vick in the first round. Knocks out Edson Barbosa in the first round. Knocks out Cowboy Cerrone in the first round. TKOs Tony Ferguson. I think that's very difficult to do. I think that at the end of the day, man, Justin Gaethje is putting respect back on his name. Justin Gaethje, I think that he respects Michael Chandler as an opponent. I truly do believe that, but I think that he feels that he's been overlooked in that Michael Chandler is the shiny new toy, and Justin Gaethje is like, y'all forgot about me. Y'all must have forgot. I mean, shout out Roy Jones Jr., man. So I think he's going to put on a show. I think he's going to be fighting with a vengeance. I think he's going to be fighting to prove a point. And I think that when you just watch their film, man, Gaethje is a wild man, and it's hard to control the wild man. He's not a wild man like a Johnny Walker. He's a different type of wild man where his wildness has worked for him 22 out of of 25 times, man. And if you think about it, against Khabib, if it weren't for him getting ragdolled all over the floor, if it was a stand-up fight, you never know what would happen in that one either, man. So I'm going with Justin Gaethje, man. But I'm taking a different approach in terms of the results, man. I'm thinking that we're going to see probably like a second round knockout or something like that, man. I think we can go back to just how Doe Bronx versus Chandler was, second or third round. And what's interesting, AJ, is the over-under on this one is 1.5, man. Minus 120 for the over, minus 110 for the under. So I'm taking the over on that one. It looks like we both are, but we're taking just a little bit of a different approach on that one, right? Because it's only a 3-round fight. So you're going 3 rounds. I'm going maybe like 2.5. We'll see what happens right there. Good fight, though. Good fight.